Reynolds is not here tonight, and our next item is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have an agenda before us. Is there any changes to the agenda that anybody would like to offer?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made and seconded for the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have an agenda. Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. Anybody want to pull anything off?
My question answered. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. That brings us to open forum. This is the part of the agenda where the council or the public is encouraged to tell the council what's on their mind. We'll limit you to 3 minutes, and we will not discuss legal matters. Gonna watch out the door if anybody comes running in.
Mad dash.
All right, let's move on. Old business. Ordinance 860, renaming Business Park Drive to 24th Avenue South. This will be a final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you stated, this is the final reading and adoption of ordinance number 860 to rename Business Park Drive to 24th Avenue South to align with our advocacy.
Do you have any questions for Stacy?
I'll move approval of ordinance number 860.
Second.
Rename the.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. That brings us to new business, 7.1, request to not certify collection of bill for fire services.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I've been speaking with the letter writer. I asked her not to, since there's a little bit of health information in her letter, I did ask her not to note the name of the person who received the services from the fire department. Essentially, she's not asking that the council waive the required fee. She indicates in her letter that she wants to work with the brother to make sure that the city is made whole. She's just requesting that we not certify the bill to her property taxes as she did not receive the services. And her the brother actually didn't reside with them at the time of the accident, but had not changed his driver's license. So hence the bill is being mailed to her. So. And we have in the past worked out payment plans with folks, and I would offer that to her and the brother as an alternative.
What is the dollar amount?
Yeah.
$300.
Okay.
So the recipient would never listed as a property owner.
That was the time.
Correct,
Well, never was according to this, right?
correct.
So that did waive it, period. The property owner, I mean, not the individual, but the property owner.
Well, that's what she's asking for.
Well,
No,
shouldn't
I
that
mean-
automatically just,
No, it doesn't automatically,
that they're.
no,
Okay.
so,
After the question.
Since it was his address.
Yeah.
correct, because it was his address, so it's being, and we don't,
He wasn't the property owner. I guess, to me, that's the distinction.
yeah,
Oh, but
I'm not a lawyer, so.
but if it's a renter, I mean, if
Right.
it's there and
Yeah.
if the renter doesn't pay, then the
Property owner.
Lester pays.
It's okay, the utility that does, but gas, it doesn't.
and in some instances, I mean, a lot of people will just pay the assessment as part of their taxes. In this case, she has specifically written a letter requesting that it not be certified, but that she will work to get the city paid.
So if it doesn't get certified this year, is it not possible to certify it
If
next
we
year?
can certify it anytime, we certified a whole lot of old bills 2 years ago.
Right, I recall.
So, and we did collect on a good chunk of them, so.
Well, I mean, she's standing up here and saying, and we're not trying to dismiss the bill, we're just trying to
Yeah, she
get
said
the
he,
responsibility where it should be.
Correct.
she said he did live there off and on for 2 years, but not at the time,
Correct.
so
I'm fine with that.
I am fine with that as well.
I think a motion
I'll
to,
make a motion to approve the not certifying collection.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second, is there any other discussion? You're not all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Carries. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
Maintenance agreement with Mille Lacs County.
yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Public Works Director Gerald and I, and, County Administrator Hayes and the current interim county engineer, have been working on a highway maintenance agreement, by which the city will take over maintenance of certain county state aid highways and county roads within the city's jurisdictional limits. And this is the final agreed upon, document, that we have, put together. And it will be a perpetual agreement. However, the Exhibit A, which outlines the road segments and the dollar amounts, we will be getting an annual letter from the county, as they recalculate those maintenance dollar amounts. So unlike the previous agreement, that was how old, Bob?
1982.
The body of the agreement will stay, but the dollar amounts will change annually. So I think we have a good process.
To me, that alone, it makes worth having, is having that in there, because that state aid, and I have the county experience, but state aid road money changes year to year, and
Correct, and
we
those,
have to have, it has to be a moving,
yeah, those dollar amounts are based on a 3-year annual average.
year to year, whatever, but they do
Yep.
change.
Yeah, so we would recommend that the city authorize execution of this agreement. County Administrator Hayes has this scheduled for the county board to approve next week.
So I'll have to sit with the administrator to adjust budgets to reflect some of the things that are coming back in. So it goes.
The state aid allocation, does that pretty much cover what we
Well,
need to do?
some of
No, no moving, you never know. That's always the moving target.
correct, counselor, and all I was getting at is I'm just looking at some of the line items that I need to adjust so that when I do budgeting and I go to purchasing, that's reflected accurately. And so the council knows that not only is this his 10-year anniversary, when this was last looked at, he was 10.
And
No. That's what got us in trouble when this whole thing blew up here however many years ago.
So we will be getting paid we'll be getting a payment this year, which will cover a portion of this year and a portion of next year. So we'll be prorating that payment over 2 budget years. And then we'll get paid again roughly August or September for the
Say
same.
that it'll be a pass to the county to us.
Correct, they're taking their county state aid maintenance
And they
dollars, and
probably get back annually, I suppose, or whatever. Yeah,
I'm sure they do. We get 2 payments a year. I'm sure they get 2 payments a year, so
whatever.
we're gonna get 1 annual payment. We'll prorate the revenue over 2 budget cycles. It will be a separate revenue line item tracked in the streets budget. And then, we will go forward, with, like I said, we'll get an annual update on the dollar amounts, so.
I think, I'm 150% for it myself.
So, Bob, you're expecting the bottom line number in the budget to not change, right?
So I just have to make sure that So because in this agreement, it covers signage and pavement markings. And in the past, historically, we've worked with the county on painting and assisting if needed, signage because it is their roads. By the agreement, I just have to make sure that I have enough funding in there that if a sign needs to be replaced, we can replace it. And so it shouldn't change the bottom line other than I have to adjust to make sure I have enough in there to cover so that those line items don't go.
Well, makes perfect sense. I mean, you're getting a government transfer, so you're gonna have to spend it somewhere,
I
right?
have to put it somewhere, and so we just have to, I'll work with Michelle to make sure that it gets put in proper places.
And there again, like the stuff you mentioned is stuff snow removal is the one thing none of us have any control over. And it is what it is. So,
And you're gonna not know everything that is gonna come up, so you're gonna have to wing it the first year anyhow.
last year, we would have come all the way ahead of snow removal.
Right now, the conversation we actually had with Jill, is that
was like last.
last year would have been a great year.
Yeah.
This year, we don't know.
Well, you never know.
You never be behind.
This year's not over yet.
I think just from a who to contact. And, you know, we don't have to. Bob's guys know where the problem intersections are that need a little extra salt and sand. You know, we'll have things cleared and we don't have to depend on the county staff. coming back down. Waiting, so.
It'll be much better.
Well, you're right.
The other big plus is we have players at both ends in place that we can actually talk to each other again.
All right.
I don't want to say any more than that.
So we have an agreement. Is there a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the authorization and maintenance agreement with Mille Lacs County.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? That carries. Park outfield.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm enthusiastic and reluctant at the same time to come and ask for an amendment to the CIP for 2024. In 2025, money was budgeted for moving a fence in the outfield in conjunction with the school district to help coincide with Title IX enrollment, girls softball. So this would be on Field 1, the Ed Kingsley Field. That was always in the works. I've had a group come forward that said, we really want to have a scoreboard, same or similar to, but sizing wise to a softball field as is at Solheim. It's been indicated to me that those funds are readily coming forward with donors. And to manage the project properly, it would be in our best interest to move the fence this year so that when those funds come available, we can move forward with putting the footings in and the posts in for the scoreboard to get started so that we're well underway ahead of the season. And so I'm asking for a reallocation to 2024 from 2025 for the fence
That was about 35,000.
max.
Okay.
Are you putting the footings in this year when you move the fence?
Once I have confirmation that they have 30% down, the contractor will move forward with that.
But
So once those funds come available, there will be a resolution before council for the donation. And then, yes, the footings will be put in. I'm holding off until mid-November. I want to get some frost in so that I don't have to put down a lot of
Oh, sure.
plywood to back in trucks. I can just run in one truck. And we put it in over frost. They can, it's because it's gonna be a 36-inch hole for each, two 36-inch holes. And I need stabilization and I don't wanna do repair work to, irrigation or sod.
Perfect sense. Is this the one that's the farthest east, one that's closest to the street?
No, it's directly in, so as you drive into Mark Park, it's gonna be where those, big aluminum grandstand is,
Yeah,
looking to the west, northwest roughly.
okay. I think I know which one we're talking
The
about.
one that keeps me up on it.
Well, and that's a serious issue for the school, so I mean, improving the
You
field
know,
is
and
necessary.
I've been to the Legion, we're helping with the scoreboard, so I've been familiarized with it, do that.
So
And I think they probably have the money to pay their both.
they're getting there. So the park board has been apprised of this, the goals of this group and the intention to make this a more suitable field for Title IX. And they're on board with it. And I'd really like to continue on.
I know we're supporting the scoreboard at the Legion, but that's anything, so.
So how does this budget wise work? What is the mechanism that changes 25 expenditures to 24?
So in your packet, you have a resolution. It's similar to 2023. When we amended the 2023 CIP to add the fire truck that wasn't in the budget. So essentially, you approved us the 2024 CIP, December 2023. This item was not in there. So we're basically just passing this resolution, which acknowledges that and is basically authorizing that we add this to the 2024 CIP with an expenditure not to exceed $35,000. And we have monies in both the capital reserve and the park dedication fund. So between the two of them, we will fund it appropriately based on statutory requirements for the use of park dedication funds.
That was my question. Are we paying for it?
Yep.
Okay,
So since this is CIP, it has no effect on our budget.
Correct. Has no effect on the levy and the regular maintenance budget. So the capital expense that would be funded out of capital reserves or if appropriate, the park dedication fund.
Then this doesn't set up any flags to the auditors.
No, the fire truck, I think it would raise a flag if we didn't pass the resolution and we just went out and spent the money.
Well,
I mean,
agreed there.
You're, by doing a resolution, we're following a process. The council is acknowledging an amendment to the capital improvements budget and basically authorizing staff then to move forward with the improvement. And auditors like documentation.
I can't think of another question.
yep, as long as it's London and okay with this. I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 24-54.
I'll second it.
The motion and a second for the outfield fence moving the outfield fence. Just leave it at that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Maybe you'll get some profits there so you can actually do it.
The fence is being moved on Tuesday.
It's already scheduled.
No,
You have faith in us?
moving the fence isn't the big problem.
No.
All right, very good. Bill list.
Anybody?
I don't have anything, but the number's still in the final number.
Of the dollar amount or the,
An ACH number.
is it,
The second number should read 242-01059.
oh, I put the one in the wrong place.
059.
Just take up the one.
Yeah, take out the first one.
Okay, other than that, I don't have anything.
I move to approve the October 10, 2024 check register containing checks 88826 to 88865 and ACH payments 241043 through 241068 and 1010241, totaling $494,311.59, as well as the pay period 20 check register containing ACH payments 242010001, 242010059, totaling $142,873.80.
Motion made, seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Brings us to a bi-weekly report.
Like the mayor, member of the council, pretty short, in terms of the general, updates. I will say that the, internal health insurance committee, has done a ton of work. We will have, a recommendation at the next council meeting in terms of the amount of the, city's contribution, as well as a recommended policy regarding that same topic. One thing that wasn't on my list of upcoming meetings and reminders is that, for the personnel manual, non-union staff and supervisors have Indigenous people / Columbus Day as a holiday, so City Hall will actually be closed on Monday. And then one item that came up today that we'd like a little input on, and we'll have a formal action item at a future council meeting, is we discussed today with Mille Lacs County the new recreational marijuana requirements. A little bit, the county is working on a draft ordinance, and they would like some input on whether we want to be a licensing local unit of government, or if we want to delegate that responsibility to the county. And then the compliance requirements and other enforcement pieces could be done as a team with other law enforcement staff. We would just have the responsibility of signing off on zoning requirements. And we discussed the issue, Stacy, Todd, and I today after we met with County Administrator Hayes. And our preference to the council would be that we do delegate to the county and have them sit with. The only issue that would arise, and the reason that Mr. Hayes would like a little input is that one of the discussion items on Tuesday is whether or not the county is going to implement a cap because of the 1 per 12,500 population, which would essentially leave them with 3. However, news has it that any facilities issued to the band is or is not included in the.
I'm sure it's gonna change tomorrow.
Yes.
But as of right now, they received word that we have to count that as one of the cap pieces.
Yeah.
So we can't regulate it, but we have to count it.
Yeah.
Even though they're not included in our government stuff.
Yeah.
They're their own
We could be here all night.
I know.
So the issue would become is if the, cause as Todd pointed out today, there's roughly 13 facilities that already do the low potency CBD. So the issue would be if the county board said, hey, we don't want a cap, we're gonna let it be a free for all, then we have the choice of undelegating and basically taking back, and that way we can implement a cap. So right now, our preference and recommendation to the council would be that we delegate, knowing that we can undelegate in the future, but we'd like to get your input. We didn't want to presume to be mind readers or speak on behalf of the council without at least bringing the issue to the table. And we're just looking for some direction to give to the county at this point. Again, we're not looking for any formal action, but we'd like some input.
you guys decided to leave that for maybe to the county? Or not, I mean,
I'll let the
Well-
chief speak to that a little more
So
broadly.
in conversations with the other chiefs and the sheriff, we thought that, staying consistent, but also developing, because it's such a hot-button topic, but it's also it's a moving scale, like it seems to be changing. And so one of the items that we talked about was developing maybe a task force made up of officers from each department. And that would be or they would be directed to do the the checks, right? Or those inspections that are gonna need to be occurring, right? So we thought from a law enforcement standpoint, it would be a lot easier to do it that way. I'm gonna tell you that, one of the comments that came up is when we had the curfew ordinance that, it's probably been, I think 15, 20 years, you gotta remember, we had one time and the county had another time, so a kid could run 5 feet and be out till midnight, run back into the city, and he had to be home by 10, so forth. And so we thought that being consistent with this would be by far the easiest way to do it. So, but obviously I'm gonna speak for myself, but I do believe that the other law enforcement leaders are very concerned about the cap. There's a reason why the state wants us to do a cap. There's a reason why they're saying, one in that 12,500. And so, I know for us, we would like it to stay with that cap. In my mind, if it goes more from the county board and turns into the wild, wild west, I would not be in favor, and we would go to our own enforcement.
But I think, the cap is good because it's really depressing driving somewhere and every other establishment is a dispensary. It just kills it downtown. So,
Mhm.
my only other question is, how does the Sherburne County fit with
That
this?
was gonna be my question. How's it work? Because we have two counties that we're dealing with.
We, we don't know. We have a plan, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we think that they're doing.
I tried to dance around that, so
Similar.
he doesn't, I kind of got a plan. No,
Well,
Wondering the same thing.
yeah.
Let's move to Sherman.
We did discuss that. As of right now, we don't know, but one of the ways that we can mitigate that without having our own ordinance and doing our own enforcement is because we have zoning approvals, is we can limit what zoning district these facilities end up in, and we can also set more restrictive buffer requirements. So for example, we could say, it has to be, a half mile or a mile distance between these facilities or something. I mean, we haven't looked into it far enough yet. But, and we are in touch, or we are participating both in committees and meetings on the Mille Lacs County side as well as the Sherburne County side. And we're monitoring and seeing where they're gonna end up. And I think that the tendency is also that Sherburne County is gonna set a cap. So,
Except for there's 3 times as many people in Sherburne County, so there's,
well, they're capping higher. I think Michelle said it better. Our concern would be that, we start getting them from both sides, right? So I think we'll have to do something to minimize that piece, at least unless that's something that you guys don't want to do, but I would strongly encourage us to make sure that we have that in check before this goes to January 1.
well, honestly, I guess that, I'm assuming that their establishments are not gonna be in the city of Princeton in Mille Lacs County, right? If somebody wants to be in Mille Lacs and somebody will be here, right?
Yeah, but technically, and that brings up, there's still the questions of how do you, what if all of a sudden we have 8 applications in at the county for these, right? And the cap is 3. So the conversation today were, you know, a little bit of like, well, it's become, the date of the application at the state. Do we use first come, first serve, those kind of things? But I mean, technically, if you think about it, you could very well have three within a city, a township, another, you know, Malacca, Princeton, whatever. So I think that's where that zoning piece is gonna come into play a little bit.
I mean, if it was one in Mille Lacs County and one in Sherburne County, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But, you know, you don't want four or however many, right?
Correct.
Are there any cities that are, this is just throwing this out there, that are keeping it within the city and doing it at like their municipal liquor store?
Well, we heard today from County Administrator Hayes that, Isle is going to not delegate, that they did, were exploring doing it at their municipal liquor store, but that fell through. And then he also said that there was a fire in the liquor store.
Oh,
I don't know,
Geez, I didn't hear about that.
evidently today, but, pardon me?
bam.
Oh,
Wow.
Wago.
I know, Stock Rapids wants to maintain
You might not have knew
it,
that,
like,
right?
the manager, I just met, he was in my store yesterday doing they're looking to build a new store slash potential dispensary in Stock Rapids, so they're looking to do it themselves and maintain control. And I know the manager of Elk River really wants one too. He's actually developed his own strain with one of the companies. Marijuana, so.
Well, I just don't know what the pros and cons would be in that. Whether it would be easier for us to regulate, or the city make more money doing that, like.
But when we talk about the, you know, there was obviously a financial piece too. You know, at the county level today, they talked a little bit about, well, geez, what if we up the cap, we can start developing revenue, but I think, at least in a little bit of our opinion, you know, these are just those, you know, those storefronts, right? I think where you see the cities that are striving from these revenue is these grow type dispensaries that are not this, right? That's something completely different. So you look at like that Rogers and at Sealer, I think they have 4 or 5 right now that are, you know, $20 million buildings that they're doing well with that revenue. So we have to clarify a little bit with the county right now in regards to, you know, what's that financial gain, but what is it worth, right?
Right.
You know, we're getting, you know, I've been on 2 now in regards to the educational value of this. How are we gonna get to our kids, and how are we gonna teach our kids that the appropriateness of this? And so, you know, the county is gonna be getting a fairly good chunk of money to their public health department to be able to educate these pieces, right? I've been adamant with the fact that let's not forget about the Princeton kids, right? Let's get down here with that money and start using that up and getting these materials out. So I'm sure there are people out there that say, let them all come because we can develop revenue. I'm sure there are cities that are to that extent. I'm sure there might be even townships that have that on, but I mean,
The bigger issue is that the state is moving glacially slow on proving or even evaluating what is it, the social equity applications and I don't know where municipalities fall in that whole thing.
We were told that we don't fall in,
Yeah,
because they have to be second in line, they were told no.
so,
Well, honestly, the revenue part of this it should be irrelevant to us. I mean, that's my opinion, so, for whatever that's worth for the next couple of months. So I don't, there obviously is a lot of questions there.
not a lot of answers from the state, so,
Yeah.
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 I haven't heard a real good argument for us to do it on our own, leave it to the county or on there.
Well, and
Until we know what's going.
it's nice to know that you can, you know, take it back if it's a total disaster,
Yeah, we're not committing ourselves for the next 50 years.
but the zoning part is, yeah. I suspect there's lawyer money behind some of this, so It better be right. Not you, not your one. Somebody else's one.
All right, so,
So yes, delegate. I think
okay,
I can-
I was gonna say, am I hearing the consensus for delegation at the moment, knowing that we can roll it back if we need to, so. Okay, that's all I have for the administrator's report. I know it was, it's a last second addition, but it's important enough to add to the deal, so.
No, the EDA meeting is canceled.
Pardon me?
EDA meeting is canceled.
Correct, and that happened today, so that's why I didn't get my report, so.
There.
The utilities meeting, so I have nothing.
No.
All right, excellent. Number 9.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye, opposed?